Let's go to Wilfred and say a very good morning, Wilfred.
A very good morning to you, Ian.
How are you, sir?
Not too bad, thanks.
Beautiful. Good to hear your tones.
Oh, yes. It's nice of you to say so.
Yes.
Now, Ian, I think you may be going through a spiritual experience.
I thought you were going to say something else, though.
Really? No, I really do. I myself am actually in a state of bliss and serenity.
Are you?
Yes.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. It just came about. It was after I had gotten off the booze quite a few years ago, and I'd gone through a few years of therapy and whatever, and group therapy and all that. Mm-hmm. And I started to get into a state of serenity. There are times when I feel as if I'm floating on a sea of tranquility. And I do meditation as well. The type of meditation that I do is where I learned it actually at yoga, where you're watching your thoughts. You close your eyes and you can lie down or sit upright and you just watch your thoughts, but you don't get caught up on them.
Oh, yeah.
It's like watching them pass by on a cinema screen. And eventually, of course, there are no thoughts left and you're just left with a blank.
Yeah.
And it really is superb. But it's funny, the sort of things that actually make chemical changes inside the brain. For example, marathon runners apparently get a high after they've been running for a long time.
Yeah, I heard this.
The endorphins actually bring about a chemical change and they get this high. But can I just say something about odd experiences? Because I had one about 10 years ago. And I was lying in bed. I had gone up for a cat nap. And I was coming out of the sleep. And I still had my eyes closed. And I was aware that I was in the room and on the bed. I was definitely not asleep. And I could feel this hand squeezing my Cajangles. And this is absolutely true.
And you hadn't paid for this?
I hadn't paid, but it didn't feel like a woman's hand. It was actually quite painful. And it was sort of, there was a squeezing motion where it was sort of squeezing around and with my Cajangles. And there was another pair of hands on my ankles, grabbing my ankles. And I could feel this pulling motion at my ankles. So I had two pairs of hands on my ankles pulling as if to pull me off the edge of the bed, and one hand on my Cajangles. And I thought to myself, I knew instinctively when I opened my eyes this would stop, and it felt so real. And it did stop. When I opened my eyes, immediately I opened my eyes, it stopped. And I have never to this day got an explanation as to why that was. But I think it must have had something to do with the state between waking and sleeping. But I was fully aware I was in the room, so I was actually to that extent awake, but I had been coming out of a sleep, and it's a very strange state of mind.
That's surreal.
It was weird, and it really, really felt, I could actually feel these hands on me. It was so real. Yeah. It was unbelievable. But let me say about your sleep, I wouldn't say there's anything to worry about at all. I believe sincerely that the body and mind regulates itself, and the best way to judge that is if you're feeling the only way you can judge your own mental and physical health is through how you feel. And if you're feeling good, well, what is there to worry about?
Yeah.
You know. But I definitely would think some sort of spiritual experience that you're having. And we all have different types. As I say, I feel in a state of absolute serenity.
No,
and it's just wonderful. It really is.
Yeah, well, let's hope it continues in that vein.
Certainly.
Definitely. Wilfred, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ian.
Speak to you soon.
Certainly.
Cheers. There is Wilfred in County Down. Always good to have him on.